I'm Eriko. I work in Regulatory Support Office with Resija Nambia to support clinicaltrial.gov and Raj Baradarajan, who supports and IDE submission. So in previous research, I talked about what CT.gov is, why it is required, which study needs to be registered, by when. And this month, I want to talk who needs to do the CT.gov reporting. The big question is whose responsibility is clinicaltrial.gov reporting? So it is the sponsor of the clinical trial or responsible party who has been designated by the sponsor. So for the industry sponsor study, in general, as I mentioned in previous talks, sponsor is the one to do the CT.gov reporting. Have to worry for those unless sponsor delegates their responsibility to UT Southwestern investigator. Then our UT Southwestern investigator responsible party to do the CT.gov reporting. So for those internally funded studies, so PI initiated studies at UT Southwestern, study investigators are the responsible party to do the CT.gov reporting. So again, regulation requires responsible party to register and submit results for applicable clinical trial of drug and device. So regulation defines responsible party as individual who is responsible for conducting the trial, who has access to and control over the data from the clinical trial, has right to publish, has the ability to meet regulatory requirements. So these responsibilities are usually principal investigators' responsibility. So therefore, at UT Southwestern, expectation is PI to be the responsible party, and PI needs to be listed as a main contact in the CT.gov record. And PI needs to review the record for the accuracy and submit it to the CT.gov for their review. But we understand PI is extremely busy with other million responsibilities, right? So can PI get help with CT.gov data entry? The answer is yes. So anyone on the study team can enter the information for PI. So just make sure, so if you're assisting PI with CT.gov reporting, please contact our office or record owner to add you in the access list. But please also remember that PI must still review the record for the accuracy and submit it to the clinicaltrial.gov for their review, as it is required by regulation. So here are important things to remember. So CT.gov registration and results posting are scientific tasks rather than administrative tasks. So in basic epidemiological and statistical knowledge, especially for the outcome measure section at the time of study registration and results reporting. So since one section of CT.gov is scientific task, so when you do data entry for PI, you should ask yourself if you are a scientist. If you're not, you should ask PI to do or have scientific member of the study team do it for the PI. And so I say scientific task, but clinical science. So if you're not a clinical scientist, you may not have expertise to do some of the section in the CT.gov. To know clinical design. So is it adaptive trial? Is it smart trial? So you need to be familiar with different assignment schedule for your trial. So you need to know the study pre-specified primary and secondary outcome in detail. So for example, are you reporting primary outcome in counts, ratio, rate, or mean change from baseline? Or is it time to event types of data, such as cumulative of outcome like death over time? And then you need to provide clear metric and contextual scale information and time frame for specific measurement for your primary and secondary outcome at the time of registration. And when you do the results reporting, need to be comfortable, very comfortable with reporting descriptive statistics. So you need to have a basic understanding of which dispersion method, so precision or measure of central tendency, should be reported to your reported outcome. With that, of course, recommend PI, COI, or clinical scientists who have epidemiological and statistical knowledge to do the outcome measure module, and rest of the section can be done by coordinator or data specialist. And for results reporting, again, task force highly recommend PI and biostatistician or whoever is going to do the statistical analysis to do the results reporting. So maybe experienced data specialists can assist in data entry with the help of PI. But as many of you already know, it can get really, really complex and consuming. So results posting is very actually similar to preparing a population characteristics table for the manuscript, so which is typically table 1 of the manuscript. So it's very similar to, the task is very similar. So NIH does estimate results reporting can take up to 30 to 50 hours for complex design and with multiple outcomes. So make sure you start early. Then I want to review the submission cycle once again. So first, PI or other research staff to enter the information. And once you're done, you click green entry complete button. Then you email PI to review the entry for accuracy. So once PI review, then PI select approve and release button to finalize the record submission. So those are 2 buttons they need to press. And record often gets stuck, so never release to ct.gov because PI does not select release button. So just make sure they select 2 buttons. So ct.gov review will take up to 7 days for registration and 30 days for the results. So when ct.gov find any issue with reported, it will come back with stipulation. So email will be sent to record owner and whoever worked on the record. And your record will show up on our program record list. So you will probably hear from me or Resija. And you have a 15 calendar days to address their stipulation, and then you will follow the same steps and until ct.gov accept your changes. And when there's no issue, record will be made public. So what I have seen is that I request PI to review it, but PI release the record like right away within like 5 seconds before reviewing it. So, but I just want to remind you all that there are multiple watchdogs for the quality of the ct.gov record, including NIH. And this evidence-based medicine data lab at the University of Oxford, who also runs the non-compliance tracker website, this group called Compare. So this you need to watch out because they're like a journal, like a manuscript, like a police. So they go into the published journal and compare data in ct.gov. When they detected this phenomena called outcome switching, so basically they find unreported or added outcome in the manuscript. And also when they find any discrepancy between ct.gov and manuscript, this group write the letter to the journal for article correction or sometimes request article retraction. And also many journal editors today are comparing reported outcome in manuscript and ct.gov. So this is the actual email investigator received from Journal of Clinical Oncology. So journal editor basically suspected outcome switching or known as a multiple testing problem or reporting bias in the manuscript. So they found the discrepancy between reported outcome in manuscript and ct.gov. And then actually in this letter, editors are requesting investigator to remove this significant secondary outcome from the discussion section. So just make sure PI carefully reviews outcome measures section in CT.gov before they select green release button to finalize the submission. Because it's very important to do the CT.gov registration correctly because you will be held with the standard at the time of publication. So now quickly review metrics. So according to FEDA non-compliance tracker website, UT Southwestern as a whole, our compliance rate or proportion, so a year ago, was 68.2%. And UT Southwestern leadership was obviously very concerned at the time. So with everyone's effort, we made 100% compliance since January, and in April, we were able to keep 100% compliance. So again, important to note that this 100% compliance is for FDA-regulated applicable clinical trial results only. So it does not include NIH trial that are not applicable clinical FDA-regulated trial, or trial that those are voluntary register. So, so this graph shows overall real-time compliance for all UT Southwestern record. So we start managing Parkland record. Those are just 3 records with Parkland account. So this blue histogram is the total number of trial that is registered under UT Southwestern accounts, and green is the number of record with no problem. So whatever the difference between blue and green are the bad ones, so these orange and red one, so those are considered problem record. So orange one is the problem record that are not FDA regulated trial, but it has been flagged in the system with some sort of error, which must be corrected. So we are finally able to clear last FDA regulated trial, the subject to federal monetary fine in April. So our goal is this orange and red one to be as low as we can and continue with 100% compliance in compliance tracker website. So so please aware that UT Southwestern leaderships are periodically reviewing non-compliance tracker website. Because this one is a public website, so it is simply hurting UT Southwestern reputation. So just be aware they're looking, and this list also name of the PI as well. So here are the contact person for CT.gov related issues. And selected list for resource. So if you have a question, please email us. So thank you for listening. I'm going to turn over to Erica and Kimberly. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. I'll actually take it. So we did get a question, Erica, that we'd like you to answer while Kimberly is pulling up her slides. So the question is, what is the timeline of creating a study in CT.gov in regards to when a study is approved by the IRB?
So that will be depends on the sponsor and then the types of a study. So for, I'm sorry, do you want me to just type it in the chat?
No, if you can go ahead and answer it. And then if you want to follow up with typing it in the chat, that's fine too.
Okay, sure. So for NIH clinical trial, NIH funded clinical trial and FDA regulated trial, those are registration is required at the time of IRB, ERB study approval. So we will hold green light for those study if we don't have NCT number. So for other studies, if you're going to publish your study, in the one of the ICMJE journal. And then if those studies meet the definition of publication policy clinical trial, then you would need to register before first patient enrollment. But we're not going to hold green light for those because those are just optional for PI, those who is willing to publish in the journal. So, but if you have any further question about timeline, email me.
Thank you, Eriko. And Kimberly, are you able to pull up your slides?